when on Instagram I mentioned the inflammation, they took down my podcast. You know, you just go, oh wow, it's that connected and that corrupt. So I had the tumour out anyway, which I deeply regret now. And then I gave up Western medicine. And the doctor said, you can't do that because you've got to be on thyroxine for the rest of your life because we took half your thyroid out. And I went, watch me. There are two places that you have to stay out of if you want to be healthy. And the first place is a supermarket. You go into a supermarket and 99% of the food in there is toxic.
Welcome back to Cancer Cured Me, healing, manifesting and living your best life. Today, I'm delighted to have one of our favourite guests back on the podcast today, Philly J. Lay, the wonderful author of the Natural Wellness Journal, the host of the Wellness Way podcast, and the creator of the incredible Wellness Way Festival. She's come back on the podcast today to talk to us some more about her journey. Last time she shared how she overcame autoimmune diseases, cancer, frozen shoulder, so many things through the power of natural healing and all that she found on her 2-year journey while she was healing herself. Today, I'm thrilled that she's going to share so much of not only what she learned, but where she's taking it and how she's helping the world learn more about their own bodies. I do need to add that everything that we talk about today is very much my opinion, Philly's opinion, and this is not the opinion of medical practitioners. And if there's anything that you're not sure about, you should always seek advice from your own medical professional. So please listen, take in whatever resonates with you from what Philly shares. She is a fountain of knowledge and there are many ways to connect with her. So I'm delighted that you're going to get to have this episode with her today. So let's dive in. Philly, thank you so much for being back with us today. It is an absolute privilege to have you here.
It is a privilege to be here. I love you to bits, Alex, as you know.
Thank you, my darling.
For the cause.
We're like, come on, let's get these messages out there. And we really did that last time we were together. We were actually in the studio last time. It was super fun and had such amazing feedback because I think you said like a lot of the people who listen to your fabulous podcast, the Wellness Way podcast, didn't necessarily know your story, or they'd sort of they'd found you later, and it was just amazing to share that. And the reason I was so keen to have you back here today is because you're doing even more exciting things, which we'll talk about in a minute. But because with this podcast now, we're looking very much more at cancer and not seeing it as this big, scary thing. Yes, okay, it is scary. The word itself can be scary, but actually your lived experience and my lived experience it was actually transformational for us, which I know is very triggering to people. And this is not intended to offend. It's just more, let's not be so hasty to say, oh, well, then we just have to go straight to chemo, radiotherapy, all those things. There are other ways. And so I'd love, if you're okay, for you to just remind us of where you came from to where you are today and everything you've learned. And then we can start helping people and say, okay, this is what I do if I got my diagnosis today.
Brilliant. Thank you, sweetheart. Yes. So I'm Philly J. Lay. I am a podcast host, as you said, an author, and a survivor from a near-death medical procedure. So 14 years ago this week, actually, wow. I had a spinal fusion. Is it 14? Hang on. Yes, it is. I had a spinal fusion and they missed my spine with the anaesthetic and I nearly died. And I spent 2 years of my life in bed addicted to opioids and alcohol as my health spiraled out of control. So I had obviously post-traumatic stress disorder, chronic fatigue, chronic brain fog, loads of autoimmune diseases, frozen shoulder. And then one day I noticed this big lump in my throat. So I went to my doctor and they said it was a tumour and they had to take it out and that they would try and save half my thyroid. And I saw lots of other consultants that week, and they're going, we're going to operate on your shoulder. We're going to wire your brain up. It's very uncomfortable, but you'll just have to live with this. We're going to do this. Can you go back on gluten? Because we need to test for celiac. So I did go back on gluten for 6 weeks and was incredibly ill, and then tested that I wasn't celiac. And I thought, God, how many other people are as ill as I was? And they're not celiac, so they think it's fine to eat gluten. It was an extraordinary little journey that I went on. So I had the tumour out anyway, which I deeply regret now. And then I gave up Western medicine. And the doctor said, you can't do that because you've got to be on thyroxine for the rest of your life because we took half your thyroid out. And I went, watch me. And they went, no, you have to. I went, watch me. And so I gave up Western medicine and I went on a journey to heal myself naturally. Now, in that 2 years of my life that I'd spent in bed, the 4 women who kind of formed my life all died. So my sister was the first one to die of motor neurons, my mum in a diabetic coma where she'd moved into a care home. She wasn't diabetic when she went in there. So they blamed us for saying, you didn't tell us she was diabetic. Well, 20 years earlier, she had been diagnosed pre-diabetic. They wanted to put her on medication. I went, no, you don't, Mother. We're changing your diet. And here's the box of blueberries you've got to eat every single day for your dementia at the same time. So I managed to keep her okay. But then you go into a care home and they serve shit. Yeah. Breakfast, toast or cereal, lunch, meat and 2 veg. They call potatoes a veg, and like boiled peas or cabbage. That was it. And then tea was just an array of sandwiches and cakes. And then there were sweets everywhere, and ice creams and hot chocolate and Horlicks at night. And within 3 months, my mum was dead because she was in a diabetic coma. So I'd learned quite a lot about that. And then one of my best friends, 2 of my best friends died. One died of cancer, and the other one, I believe, died of chemo. I had done an awful lot of research. Yeah. And, it was quite good, actually, not getting out of bed for 2 years. I couldn't read because my eyes were too tired, but I listened to loads and loads of docuseries, TED Talks. It was the first time I came across Dr. Rangjang Chatterjee, and he was talking about how his son, they were on holiday when his son was a toddler, and he was taken seriously ill and they had to rush him to a hospital for Dr. Chatterjee to discover that he was vitamin D deficient. And he just asked the question and said, why as a GP do I not know about vitamin D deficiency and what it does to the body? Why have I been covering my son in sunblock the whole time and not letting him have any vitamin D? And that's when he started asking questions. So I was listening to a lot of information. So when my time came, I was pretty confident that I was going to be okay. And when I say that one of my friends died of cancer and one died of chemo, I'm going to talk about my friend that died of cancer. First of all, so people do die of cancer. They can die of cancer, and we don't want to belittle it in any shape or form or trigger people. But Sarah had very much looked for one thing to heal it. So she'd gone on B17 kernels, apricot kernels. And that was her thing, and she kind of thought that would do it. And I don't believe that you can do it off one thing. I think it's a whole process. And Sarah held an awful lot of trauma in her life. When we were 16 years old, she was taken from outside of our flat in London by a man that was going to go on to become the North London rapist and murderer, North London train line rapist and murderer. He killed, I think, 17 women. And Sarah was the last person to come out alive, and he thought he'd left her for dead. So
Oh, Philly.
The trauma that she
Yeah.
held was unbelievable. And she stayed in the UK living with me, and we had a police guard because she'd gone on the news and they forgot to put her face and voice, black out her face and put her voice through a voice box. And I'm like, oh my God, just come off news at 10. Her mum phoned me and went, that's Sarah. And I'm going, no, it's not Mary. But it was, and we had to go and face
Oh
that.
my God.
So we had a police guard, and then after a year, she just said, I can't live like this anymore. I want to move to America because I want a gun. I need a gun by my side. And I got that decision, but Sarah never stopped living without that trauma. She never stopped living
Yeah.
without a gun. And, dealing with cancer, you have to look at absolutely the whole process, physical, emotional, spiritual. It's the three in one, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Absolutely. Oh my God, 100%. We talk about that so often. And you and I have both had Dr. Sam Watts on the podcast. And, he speaks so beautifully about the whole Ayurvedic approach, which, exactly does exactly what you say. And that's what I mean, for me, I feel like unhealed trauma was why I got cancer in the first place. So, that's now all I focus on is
And,
that trauma
we
piece.
all live with cancer. We
Hmm.
all have it in our body. It is a natural process of the body. And when those cells clump together
Yeah.
and when they form a lump and start making you feel ill, it's because they are just giving you a massive slap round the face and saying, come on, wake the fuck up. Just wake up. What are you doing with your life? Sort yourself out.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And that's
100%.
why I think the name of your podcast is so brilliant.
It's true though, it is. It literally, and I say it all the time, it was that big fat wake up call that the universe just went, if you're not going to listen, all right, we'll give you cancer then, and then sort your shit
Thanks a
out.
lot, love.
Yeah, because you can't ignore it, right? And we can all live these toxic lives that we pretend everything's fine. And, I hear so many people say, oh, yeah, this happened to me and this happened to me. But I never want to go there. I never want to go there. Don't want to deal with that. Don't want to cry. Don't want to release that. I'm like, you will find it will manifest in the body somehow.
Absolutely. And, the brilliant Louise Hay,
Mhm.
so, I'm an EFT practitioner, tapper, and I say
Yes.
every time looks as mad as shit and works on everything. But Louise Hay always said, because somebody once asked her and said, why are you talking about the negative, when you do the setup statement, even though I have cancer, I'm willing to love and accept myself, whatever your setup statement is. And
Mm.
I said, why are you focusing on, the negative? And she said, oh, very simple. You can't clean the house unless you see the dirt. And I was like,
Yes. I've
yeah,
not heard her say that. I love that.
yeah,
And that's exactly right.
yeah.
I know it is funny, isn't it? Because when you say, even though, da 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 da, yeah, love tapping, love tapping. Okay,
You
and
love
so we love tapping. We do. It's so brilliant. And why do you say that you think your other friend died of chemo?
um, partly chemo and partly mindset. So
Mm.
when she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, um, she phoned me in tears. I got over there straight away. I did a lot of her oncology appointments with her. And, I kept asking head of oncology, what she could do to help herself and support herself. I said, well, obviously we've got to cut all sugar, including carbohydrates, out of her diet. And he was going, no, she needs her energy. She needs a good bowl of pasta every night. And I'm like, oh my God. So then I spoke about essential oils and I spoke about frankincense and talked about baby Jesus, being given frankincense, gold, and myrrh. So in biblical times, gold, turmeric was known as gold. So basically, baby Jesus was given a medicine chest. I think at that point, the oncologist asked me to leave the room because he felt I wasn't being helpful to the process. Um, but Polly used to cry every single week to me. He basically gave her 2 years to live. He said, you've got 2 years. And she put that in her mind.
Yeah.
And she used to cry to me every week going, I'm dying. I think I'm dying. I think I'm dying. She also was holding a lot of trauma in her body, where her marriage had fallen to pieces, and she was devastated. And I think, yeah, she set the pattern. She kept saying she was going to die, and then she kept saying how she couldn't cope with the chemo. And I said, well, you can stop the chemo, you know. And she said, I can't stop the chemo. It's the only thing keeping me alive. And if people have that belief, then you have to honor that belief.
Yeah.
But I remember in the last few days in the hospice, and she had been unconscious. I wasn't sure if she was aware that I was there, and they took her off all medication. And within about 24 hours, I went in to see her, and she managed to open her eyes. And I'm like, oh, we have a sign. So I ran out, went on the internet, bought Essiac and thought, right, I'm going to get her on Essiac and we're going to sort this out. Because she'd opened her eyes, they put her back on the medication, and she never came round again. So, you know, people behave and react differently, and differently to different types of cancer. You know, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one because you have to support people in their beliefs. You know, I'm an EFT practitioner as well, and matrix reimprint, and you have to support people in their beliefs. You cannot tell them what to do, but you also have to give them the support mechanism to learn that there are other things that you can do. And a lot of people call that complementary medicine. Personally, I don't think it complements. I think you need to go all out, one or the other, is my personal belief. And when I had a little scare, 18 months ago, I was interviewing Dr. Nigel Eccles on the podcast, The Natural Doctor, and they said, would you like to come along to our clinic and have a thermogram? Now, we've talked about mammograms before, you and I, and my belief, and I believe it's your belief, is that no woman should ever have a mammogram again. They've been banned in 4 countries as preventative medicine, and in Switzerland as permanent ban. You know, it takes a boob, it crushes the shit out of it with a weight. If you've got a tumour in there, you've just splattered that tumour. And then they get an x-ray of it and go, can we do a biopsy? So think of this like a water balloon. So you've got your balloon of water, your tumour. You put a needle in it. What happens? The water doesn't stay in the balloon. It goes everywhere. So I was very, very excited to have a thermogram because I'd only recently heard about them when I did the podcast. I'm like, yes, please. Went down there, had a thermogram. Dr. Eccles came here, interviewed him. He came upstairs after the interview and said, so what are we doing about your inflammation? And I went, what inflammation? He went, did you not look at your results? I went, oh, no, I don't have time for that. He went, well, let's have a look at your results, shall we, my dear? And we had a look, and I had a lot of inflammation in my right boobie. Now, I kind of thought, oh dear, I better film another podcast straight away with my reaction. So I had to phone my children and go, I just want you to know. And my youngest daughter was very upset, and she was crying, and she said, you've got to go and have a thermogram. You've got to go and have a biopsy. You've got to do this properly. And I gave her my reasons for not doing so. And she continued to cry. And I said, it's okay. I'm under Dr. Nigel Eccles. She said, no, we need a proper doctor. I went, I'm sorry. He trained for 7 years as a doctor. He worked within the system, and then he broke free from the system because he realised how wrong it was. He is a proper doctor with a load more information than a proper doctor. So he had me on Lugol's iodine. He had me on vitamin E succinate. I meditated on it. So every morning I did 20 minutes on my boobie, even though I've got this inflammation in my right boobie. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for telling me that I'm working too hard and I'm not looking after myself. And I respect you for being here, but I respect myself and my fitness more. So with all due respect and love, I'm just going to kindly ask you to fuck off. And I did that every morning religiously, 20 minutes morning, 20 minutes night. My whole boob inflamed. I lost a layer of skin. It was pussing. I did a post of it, not showing the nipple on Instagram, but just some of the blisters, a post of it, put it on Instagram, got taken down for nudity. There was no nudity in this at all. We were in a close-up. Somebody had commented in the post, "Oh my God, that looks sore. What are you putting on it?" And I said, "Well, I'm putting colloidal silver, magic gel on it." So that post got taken down. And within a second, I had an email in from YouTube to say that my podcast on colloidal silver had been taken down and it had been up a year.
Wow.
But I had never mentioned the C word, the sign of the crap, so that we can't get pulled on it. And so when on Instagram I mentioned the inflammation, they took down my podcast. You know, you just go, oh wow, it's that connected and that corrupt.
It's that connected. Yeah. Wow. Gosh, Philly. What can we talk about? What can we talk about? So, and where are you now? Where are you now with that?
I don't look.
Disappeared.
I believe with all of my heart that it's gone. And they keep saying, come back for another thermogram. And I don't want to. And I keep getting letters in from the doctors and little tubes going, poo in this and send it in. And I go, no, thank you. Would you like this test? No, thank you. And, you know, I believe if you want to know that, but I'm okay. I'm absolutely fine. I believe that an awful lot of the illness, dis-ease that is going around in the world at the moment is because we over analyze what's going on in our body. And if we just left it alone, it would go away. Feel it, deal with it in your own way. You know, the first thing I did when I heard about the inflammation was I booked my daughters and I into a retreat. We went off on a retreat, we did a 5-day juice fast, and then I followed that with a 3-day water fast. So I sent my body into autophagy and said, come on, just go. So when your body goes into autophagy, it's just eating up all the crap in your body and go, oh, there's no food to eat today. So what are we going to eat? Oh, let's just chomp on these. And they will chomp on everything going. And so I'm just like, yeah, I've sorted it.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm sure you have. I don't doubt for 1 second.
no,
That it's all
I
gone.
don't. And that is the difference. I have no doubt. I
Yeah.
never think, oh, I wonder if I've still got inflammation there. Now, I understand that that is not the case for a lot of women and they do want to know. And so I know we're going to talk about my health hubs that I'm building later.
Yes, we are.
But we are just about to announce this week that we are going to be doing thermograms, that Dr. Nigel Eccles is sending his team to the College of Naturopathy and Medicine on our health hub. So we can do thermograms and we can let women know if they have inflammation in their breasts.
Oh my God. Well, sign me up. I will be straight in there because I'm just like you. And as we've talked about, I said no to my last mammogram because I just said, I know that I'm fine. Like literally, I have this rock solid belief that cancer is not my story. And yes, it showed up that one time. And as you say, you know, the cells appear, 3 times a year, but the body does what the body does. And if you give it the right environment, it clears them. So, you know, it doesn't need to be your story. But now I have, because I live so intentionally that I just, cancer's not mine. Like it's not for me. But I'm really fascinated that I would like to try it anyway, just because I want to know what it's all about. So yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, brilliant.
So
Brilliant.
thank you for sharing that.
One practitioner, and we only have the health hub for a day, so I think we've got 7 slots. So you're going to have to book really quickly. So
Oh my God.
we'll get you put this podcast.
Pretend you didn't hear that. I'm jumping on. I'm jumping on it first. Okay, we're going to move into the health hub in just 1 second. But yeah, I mean, we've touched on lots of things that you've done specifically. If someone were listening to this today and saying, well, that's amazing, and Philly just seems like a fabulous woman who has overcome this herself, and she had the luxury of, well, not luxury, but you had 2 years in bed to learn everything. But I've just found out I've got cancer and they want me to take this treatment and this treatment, and I just don't know if that's the right way for me. And as we know, we need to look at the whole body and trauma, etc. What advice could you give that would just help someone in this moment of being a bit scared, being a bit, what do I do?
Yeah, obviously, neither you or I can give medical advice or tell anybody what to
No,
do. This
absolutely
is
not
for
medical advice.
educational purposes only.
Yep, this is our opinion.
So, first thing I would do is listen to your gut. Just tune in and listen to your body, listen to your gut, listen to your heart. Don't listen to your brain, because your brain has been programmed through many years of everybody telling you that this is the only way. Find a place to go where you can talk with like-minded people. So I have a community, which is spelled TEA on the end, because we do a lot of herbal teas. We have a herb of the month every month on our Zoom. We have a very lively WhatsApp group, but there are lots of other communities. Chris Beat Cancer is another great one, but find your community, find where you can have open, honest conversations. I'm working with a stage 4 cancer patient at the moment, and their family had insisted on chemo. And so they'd started that process of chemo to appease the children, but it wasn't sitting well. And he felt terrible. And so we looked and tapped and went into the matrix about his children's beliefs. So you've got to analyze not just your beliefs, but the beliefs of people around you, so that you can make informed consent. Now, we talked a lot about informed consent in 2020 and 2021, where nobody was given informed consent. But this is something that you have a right to ask your doctor to know exactly what the side effects of chemotherapy are. Remember that when you have surgery, no matter what the surgery is, so, as I said, I had my tumour out my throat, your body doesn't know if that knife is doing something good to you or it's an attacker trying to slit your throat and kill you. So your body goes into shock, and that's just fact. And they've done all the testing on that. They know that's true. So it's really important to make these decisions with a clear head and a clear mind, and just kind of go, okay, what are the alternatives? And again, we spoke about complementary medicine. A lot of people call what we do and what I do alternative medicine. Now, we didn't alter nature. That was done after the Flexner report, which I think we spoke about on the last podcast. I do try and get the Flexner report in there quite a bit, look it up. And the 1939 Cancer Act, look that up. And you have to kind of look at what the British government were doing in 1939, what the political aspect of the world was, and what the British government had invested in. Oh, chemotherapy. And it was killing people. So let's find a way to make chemotherapy work. So we need some gas chambers, do we? It is so corrupt and so evil, the system that has been put in place. And we have all been programmed to buy this lie. And it's really hard. I don't believe that you can break out of it on your own. I did it on my own. Chris Beat Cancer talks about how he did it on his own. But I also found a wonderful document series, The Truth About Cancer, then The Truth About Detox, and then The Truth About Vaccines. And I went down a lot of rabbit holes. It was just like, oh my God, I had no idea. And then, as you know, I work a lot with Barbara O'Neill, and I've been privileged to bring her to the UK to work with me 3-4 occasions now. And, she just talks an awful lot about, the body will heal if you give it the right conditions,
Yeah.
when you know what to do. And that's what my work is about. That is what I'm trying to teach people, so that they just don't feel pressurized, and trying to give them a community. And I do my community incredibly cheaply. It's £11.11 a month. And, somebody once said to me, oh, you have to charge a lot more than that, because if people don't pay, they don't pay attention. And I went, do you know what? The people that come to me need help so badly. And I don't want to be charging them. I just want to cover my running costs, which I
Yeah, of
just
course.
almost do now. Not quite, but almost. I just want people to have this information,
Yeah.
because I think it's criminal that it's been hidden from us. And I know that I gave you my book. Have you got my book there?
Ta-da! I have a signed copy. It is, yeah, explain about your book, because it's not your average book. It's
It's not.
interactive.
Yep, it's the Natural Wellness Journal, and I wrote this book in 2020 because I was
Beautiful.
just about to open a retreat, to teach everybody, or 6 people a week, what I had learned, and then they locked us down, and I was a bit pissed off. So I thought, what can I do to serve? What can I do to help people? So I thought, right, I'll write a book. So I wrote the Natural Wellness Journal, and the first just 6 pages give you a bit about my story, so you can know why I wrote this book, the journey why I went on this journey. And then every page, it's just 2 pages, is a chapter, and every page covers a different technique or a different modality that I learned over my healing journey. And then I cite all the wonderful people that I learned from. There's no point me telling you about Dr. Gerald Pollack and going into huge detail about his work and the 4th stage of water, when I can just give you a link and go and check out his
Just
podcast.
check it out. Yeah.
If we're talking about DNA, the only person to listen to is Dr. Bruce Lipton. So I've had him on my podcast. I go, here's the link to Dr. Bruce Lipton. So I'm just going to send you to all the experts, and on each page, because I believe journaling is a very important part of getting the emotions out that are stuck in your body. And I'll say, what have you eaten today? How much plastic have you had today? Have you put any chemicals on your body today? How does that make you feel? What are you grateful for today? Every day we have to show gratitude. Every page has got a breath work on, because everybody, no matter how busy they are, can find time for 5-minute breath work every day, whether that's 5 minutes of the box, or there's another great one to take you out of the parasympathetic nervous system. So breathe in for 4, out for 8, in for 6.
Yes.
Out for
Always.
12. Just so many simple breath works. So there's one on each page. There are smiley faces on each page, because happiness is very important. And you look at, the blue zones of the world, and everybody goes, oh, it's the Mediterranean diet. Well, why is there one in Africa and they're a carnivore? And why is there one in America where, there is certainly no diet? Well, actually, it's with the Amish. But if you look at all the blue zones, the one thing that they have in common is they all sit down and enjoy meals and share stories and laugh. And if they have a glass of wine and a cigarette, it's no big deal. They are enjoying life to the full. And that is what you need to be a survivor.
Yes, well said. It absolutely is, isn't it? And I say this, it's, we're, it's a really tricky one for me, because things like sugar, we know, are just an invitation for cancer, because cancer loves sugar.
And it's more addictive than cocaine. And,
It really
and
is.
feeds on it, which is why when you have cancer, they put sugar through your system so they can see where the cancer's munching. And yet they don't tell you to stop eating it. But I have to tell you, Alex, because I have discovered this amazing, amazing product that is
Yes,
really...
I bought it. Go on, say it, because I listened to the podcast and I bought it.
Oh my God, Sugar Vida, Palmara
Yes.
blossom. So this is the blossom of the Palmara tree. It's not sugar, but it's beautifully sweet, and it is packed with B vitamins. I mean, packed with B vitamins. And, if you look at something like Alzheimer's or the thyroid not working, those are predominantly where the person is B deficient. And a lot of us are B deficient. We're deficient in a
Yeah.
lot of things at the
Yeah.
moment. And I cite in my book the doctor that Obama hired to find out why America had so much Alzheimer's. And he came back very quickly and said, if you put 1,000 Alzheimer's patients in a room and you put 1,000 B deficient patients in a room and 100 doctors, the doctors will not tell the difference. They cannot tell the difference. The symptoms are exactly the same.
Wow.
So I have
Amazing.
now discovered this blossom that's so sweet. And on Christmas Day, I served them a red cabbage, and my children haven't had anything sweetening our red cabbage for about 12 years. And they're used to it, and we love my red cabbage, and it's absolutely fine. And they had it, and they went, "Oh my God, Mother, what have you done to the red cabbage? It is divine this year." I went, "Well, you know how I haven't put sugar in for 12 years, and I will never put sugar in, or honey. Not that I think honey's bad for you, but I just, I've got used to eating it bitter
Yeah.
and quite
Yeah.
vinegary." I said, "Well, I've got Palmyra Blossom now, so I put a spoon of that in." They went, "Oh my God, it's amazing."
So good.
And it is.
I've been loving it. I love it. I've been using it. So honestly, I listened to that podcast episode and went, get me that, because that's been my biggest thing to let go of. Probably the reason I got cancer in the first place, but yeah, sugar is
But
a hard
there are
one.
other sweeteners. I made all of my children's kind of cakes and sweets, and Sassy. I used to send her off to school with like little protein balls, so I'd use dates and coconut and
Yeah,
nuts.
dates are amazing.
Dates are so gorgeous.
Mm.
And I made a Christmas cake this year again with my Palmyra Blossom. And I took quite a famous recipe, Delia Smith, and I bastardized it and I made it gluten-free. And I took out all the things that I don't like classic cherries and everything that are covered in sugar, and all those peels that are covered in sugar and syrups and everything. I took them all out and I substituted them with dates and Palmyra Blossom, and I just grated zests of lemons and oranges in there instead of all the sugary stuff. Bloody lovely. I mean, Sassy just said
Bloody
to me, "Oh
lovely.
my God, this is the best gluten-free cake I have ever had in my life." And I said, "Well, actually, I think, you can reframe that, darling, because I actually say it's the best Christmas cake you've had, gluten-free or not."
Exactly. Oh my God. Well, speaking of this, and sorry, so we're just going to indulge ourselves on this little sweet side step we're taking. So my chef for the retreat is an Ayurvedic chef, and she made the most beautiful. So we've got a gluten-free cake that we're having, and the frosting, which tastes like the best butter icing, was made with cashews, dates, and cacao. And she soaked the cashews for so long they became so creamy, and just that with the dates and the cacao. Oh, it's
I,
like
I know.
absolute heaven. Absolute heaven.
Amazing.
And so once you know these things, it's like, oh, why did I need to eat all that crap? It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's quite something. Anyway,
I mean, I
we
always
digress.
say there are two places that you have to stay out of if you want to be healthy. And the first place is a supermarket. You go into a supermarket and 99% of the food in there is toxic. Now, you could say, oh, that posh supermarket where they have that big organic range, it's all covered in plastic. So you're getting the microplastics. It is so toxic. And then any food that isn't covered in plastic is not organic, so you don't know what it's been sprayed with. There's some research coming out now about Bill Gates's Appeal coating that he put on to keep vegetables fresher now that it's a type 1 carcinogenic. Yep. Arla Farms started putting Bovia in all the cow food to stop them farting. And in the Netherlands, about half of the cow herds have fallen over dead since they've been on Bovia.
God.
And they're expecting us to eat this. So you have to stay out of a supermarket. I do not believe you can be healthy and buy food in a supermarket. Now, if you very occasionally need to, and I do, there's a supermarket that sells wild salmon. Now, farm salmon, one of the most toxic foods on the planet, sprayed every day for lice, because they're literally bent in half and squirming with lice. And so they spray them every morning. So you don't want that. They do that with prawns as well. But wild line caught salmon, which is now very rare. So I don't have a lot of it. And I certainly, if I buy a fillet that would normally be for one person, I make sure that lasts me 3 meals. And I flake it up and I put it with other fishes and make fish pie, or, just have a smaller amount because it's expensive. But there is a supermarket that I have to go into to get that.
You heard it here first, guys. She did go in a supermarket.
But on the whole, stay out of supermarkets. All my other food comes from Riverford Farms and or the Bosley Patch in Henley. And I have a Shop Philly and Friends on my webpage where I give you links and discounts wherever I can to the places that I shop from and the products that I use. I'm ever expanding that. A lot of people send me stuff and ask me to test it. Nothing goes up there till it's tested by me and till I use it. It is literally my favorite products.
That's brilliant. What a resource. That's such a great resource. I'm going to be on there. Because it's challenging, and I'm sure there'll be people listening to this who are going to say, hang on a minute, Philly, I just haven't got time for that. Like, I haven't got time to do all this.
Also say they haven't got the money. Yeah. Now, I just want to say that the majority, I don't have any money. I've spent all the money I've ever earned in my life on this mission that I'm doing, more or less, not quite all. But I don't have a lot of money, but food is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And I buy a veggie box from Riverford for one, because I live on my own, every week, and I pay about 15 to 16 quid for my box. And that has got all my fruit and veg for the week in. Then I buy things like their chicken carcasses. So there are 3 in a pack for 3 quid, £3.50 or something. And those carcasses, for a start, are waste products. So I cover them in herbs, put them in the oven for 20 minutes, bring them out. I keep all my vegetable water every time I steam vegetables, and I have jugs and jars of them in my fridge. So I put that over the chicken, and literally I peel my vegetables into it all week. So if I'm having a Swede, I peel the Swede. Wash the veggies first, otherwise it gets a bit gritty. So give them a scrub. My sweet potatoes, my onions, all the skins of the onion that you could also dry those out and make onion powder with them, as you can the garlic skins. So it is literally waste product. Then I go and do a bit of foraging, and I put my stinging nettles and my dandelion roots in there. Things like, I do treat myself seasonally with things like the asparagus season, because I'm just like, oh my God, I love the asparagus season. And so I do buy quite a bit of it. But the woody bits on the end of the asparagus that you can't eat, I break those off. Amazing. I put them in a box in my freezer. And then when I'm making the bone broth all year, I'm just getting those out and adding it. So I'm having the nutrients of things that aren't in season. When it's wild garlic season, I will go and forage, and I will get my freezer full of it. Somebody came into my organic garden recently and went, oh my God, you've got a lot of weeding to do. And I went, why? I said, well, look at it. It's covered in stinging nettles and dandelions. I went, no, I'm growing those, love. I can go to Riverford and get the blooming carrots, but they don't sell dandelion roots and stinging nettles.
Amazing.
And I have them, and the dandelion leaves and flowers are beautiful in salad.
We know who your favourite children are.
and you can go and forage those. You don't need a big garden. You can grow your tomatoes or your herbs on a window ledge, or
just having a small choke here. 1 second.
There is so much you can do. So I actually don't spend that much on food. And those chicken carcasses that look absolutely
that was just a really amazing bonus. Thank you. So
once you boiled them, you can get enough
I feel like people
meat
are now
off them,
listening and going, right, I'm hearing her now. She's actually really making sense to me. Like,
and I can
you're
do
such
2
a passionate
meals
warrior for this. I'm so sorry. Right.
And if they're not here, the dogs have it.
Where can we, first of all, come and engage with you? Come and, see all this stuff in practice. we've scratched the surface of lots of areas which we know are really key, our opinion, in the fight against cancer. You've talked about breath work, you've talked about EFT, you've talked about the food piece, vitamin D, getting in the sun, hydration. But you have pulled it all together beautifully for us at the Health Hub.
I have indeed. So, after my book, I started my podcast, the Wellness Way podcast. And from there, I thought I want to bring some of those brilliant people together and start health hubs. So I am now doing my 4th health hub at the College of Naturopathic Medicine on March the 1st, which is a Sunday. So it's our first weekend event. And this is where I'm bringing not only the speakers from my podcast, some of my favourite guests, I'm bringing together practitioners. So we're taking over the whole college, and we have workshops. So we're doing everything. We've got a sound bath from the lovely Gem, and she is also going to be there as a one-to-one practitioner, where she puts the sound baths on you. And that way she can just tune your field up. We've got bioresonance testing. We've got blood testing. We've hopefully got the thermograms. We've got Clive de Carl and his magic chairs and his wonderful vitamins that have no fillers in, because the majority of vitamins and minerals that you buy are packed with fillers that are not good for you. And most people don't realise that. You know, I didn't for a long time. I used to buy my vitamins in a supermarket because I kind of thought vitamins is vitamins, isn't it?
I thought they're all the same. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that one. So I only use Clive de Carl and British Supplements and Viridian now. Those are the 3 I use.
I only use British
Clive de Carl and
supplements.
British Supplements are up on my webpage. And Clive will be doing a talk. And just Dr. Sarah Myhill is going to be there, who has been a big flag waver for natural health for many, many years. And we will also be celebrating. She took the General Medical Council to court because they took her to court 40 times. And on each occasion, they lost. And the reason they lost is because not one of Dr. Myhill's patients would testify against her, because they have all got incredibly better doing the keto diet or whatever she prescribes for them. She's a big advocate of the keto diet. So they have lost every single time. And when they hit case number 40, and she just thought, I've had enough. So she thought, right, I'm taking them to the High Court for harassment. So she did.
Brilliant. And she's going to be there.
She is one of our headliners, and a beautiful guy, Lee, from Magic Tree Superfoods. I love Lee. He's a young guy who is a naturopath and a herbalist, and he's going to be talking us through shilajit and black seed oil and all of those wonderful things. And he will also have product there. AJ Roberts is doing our spiritual aspect and accessing consciousness with him. We've got Dr. Joe Whitaker and Kelly Hinson talking about the mitochondria and water and energy and quantum physics. Who else have we got? Janie Lee Grace is launching her award ceremony, the Platinum Awards, which are opening on the 1st of March this year. So we're going to have the judges there, Joe Woods and the other wonderful judges, coming along, and a little reception. And that isn't. So when Janie started this, and Janie used to be the co-host of the Steve Wright in the afternoon.
I remember.
Show for 24 years. Janie also runs the Sober Club. And she used to talk quite a lot about natural health on the radio. And then Hay House approached her and said, would you like to do a book on it? So she went, okay, yeah. And it's the 20th anniversary of her book, Imperfectly Naturally Me. And we are imperfect. And that's fine. That's as it should be.
Absolutely.
But, you know, the one thing that we should all write on our mirror, and this is in my book, and it's been on my podcast, is Marissa Pearce, I am enough. So wherever you are starting your journey, just write it on your mirror, I am enough.
I have it on a timer on my phone. It comes up.
I love that. Absolutely. So we've got all of these wonderful people. So we've got talks, we've got practitioners, we've got lots of gadgets and gizmos from the new world of technology so that we can read our energy, see where our chakras are, not just our blood testing, and we're doing blood testing and everything else. So all of this going on. So we've got 14 practitioner rooms. You can have a bit of reflexology or acupuncture, or my masseur, the wonderful Nina Earle, is going to be there, and she massages you with tuning forks. So she tunes you up, and you go, and you just
Love
vibrate.
it.
Or she can just not touch your body and work on your aura, and she will see all the ripples in your aura and just keep working around your aura until she's flattened out. Oh my God, crazy
I'm
stuff.
so
Um,
excited.
we've got Emily Teal there being our EFT practitioner that day. Emily works, her handle is Kick-Ass Warriors. And she is doing remarkable work with infertile women. And she's now training other practitioners to work with infertile women. Obviously, we've seen a lot more infertility come up over the last few years, not just the poison in the food and everything else and the water, but also in medications have now been proven to make women sterile. So she's working on that. And her greatest story that she told me when she came on the podcast was she had a woman come and see her. And this woman was 48 years old. And she'd had, I think it was 4 rounds of IVF in her life. And she'd never been able to conceive. And she said, yeah, I'm nearly 50 and I'm distraught because I so desperately want to be a mother. And Emily said, okay, get on the couch. And they did one treatment, and this woman phoned her 4 weeks later that she was pregnant, and the baby went through to full term, very happy, healthy baby.
Oh, there you go. That's really all you need to talk about is
So
that.
bringing all of these people together for one day. And then what I did last year as well, I did 3 health hubs last year. And then I thought I want to make this even bigger. So I did a festival and we did 3 days together. And we had Lionsgate portal openings. We had full power cacao ceremonies. We had Ollie Ollerton from Who Dares Wins SAS taking everybody out training in the morning. We covered the whole shebang, tantric workshops, family constellations, you name it, the whole lot. But this year, we're easing back in gently with a health hub on the 1st of March. So I do hope people can come. I've got a discount for them.
Thank
Philly
you.
20 will get you a 20% discount.
Wow,
And
we'll put that in the show notes as well.
yep, and go to my webpage, sign up to my newsletter so that you can find out when other events are coming, and when the next festival gets announced, when the podcast comes back, because we're having a little break at the moment, but we'll go into season 2 in June, and then I will announce who's going to be in the festival next year. So it's and when I have really great information to share with you about products or anything like that. I'm also inspired by you, Alex, and the beautiful retreat you have coming up. I thought, oh God,
Thank
so many
you.
people ask me to do retreats, and I've never done one. And I looked at yours, and I actually left you a voice note and went,
You
"Can I
did.
work it? Because I want to be there because it looks so blooming lovely."
Oh, I know. And I felt absolutely awful. I was like, no, why are we only having this conversation now? Because I've got all
Oh,
my lovely practitioners, but the next one, I'll
the
hold you to
next
it.
one,
You
I
are
know.
going to be there, and everyone can
Inspired
have
by
Billy
you.
EFT practicing. And yeah, it'll be
Inspired
amazing.
by you, I've decided to do a retreat this year. So
Good.
again, my newsletter on phillyjlay.com, you will get all the up-to-date information,
Amazing.
and discounts for anything I can give you.
You are a good lady. You really are. We are very lucky to have you fighting this fight because it's not easy. It's
It's
not
not,
easy.
you're a good lady too, and I do believe with all of my heart that the universe is just bringing all of us together, and we're all supporting each other, and it's phenomenal. I'm
It
loving
really
it.
is. It's so exciting, isn't it? And I think that's the thing that keeps you going. It's like, I'm not going to let them bring me down. We are rising.
Finding our tribe, and there's strength in
Yeah.
numbers. Find your tribe.
Yeah.
I'm 62 years old, and I had my birthday party last December, and sadly you couldn't come, but
I know.
I had my birthday party, and my children said it afterwards, the average age of everybody at your birthday party was late 30s, Mum. And I went, yeah, I know, isn't it cracking? Um, and I just surround myself by all these wonderful young people. I had an
Absolutely.
invite into a birthday party last week. Can you come to my 40th? And it's a save the date for September. And I thought, I love the fact that I'm in my 60s and I'm going to 40th birthday parties.
Quite
And
right.
I have just found my tribe. And I just invite all of your audience, Alex, to just come and find your tribe. Let's get together. Because together we're unbeatable, aren't we?
Absolutely. Go on, say it. I want you to finish with your closing line again. Go on.
So
Go
at
on.
the end of all of my podcasts, I have one line. By the way, I didn't finish about the two places you can't go, supermarket, and the other one is a doctor's surgery.
Oh,
Okay?
yeah.
So if you want to be healthy, those are the two places I keep out of. And I end all of my podcasts with the one line, because the doctor of your future is you.
Yes. Amen to that. We're going to leave it there. Thank you so much, Philly. We will all be at the Health Hub. I will certainly be there, so I cannot wait. I cannot wait. 1st of March, be there. Thank
Be
you,
there or be
Philly.
square.
Absolutely.
Bless you, my lovely.
I hope you enjoyed that wonderful episode with Philly and all that she shares. And again, Philly was telling us all about the Health Hub that is happening on the 1st of March. And all details can be found in the show notes. And plus, Philly has given us a 20% off discount for any tickets. So Philly20 is the code to use. And if you're in the mood for all the wonderful wellness and all the good stuff that we've been talking about, so much of that is happening at our retreat at Wilderness Reserve in Suffolk, coming up March the 6th to the 9th, with all the wonderful guests who will also be teaching us so many of these practices, the EFT, the tapping that Philly talked about. We'll be doing many sessions on that, a matrix re-imprint session as well. The breath work that Philly talked about, the food that we were talking about, all of that is going to be available to you at the retreat. So please, if you want to know more about that, we're down to our last couple of rooms. So please have a look in the show notes, click on the link, and you can read all about it and how to book on. Thanks so much for listening today. See you next time.